Hello everyone, I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our main event for UFC Paris. In our main event, the French sniper Nassourdine Imavov will be taking on the leader of the Fighting Nerds, the natural Caio Borralho. Ah man, I gotta be honest, this is the type of main event you want in a fight night. Right, especially a free fight night, right? Not a pay-per-view or a fight on a pay-per-view. You got Imavov, who is fighting in his home country in this case, and then you have some fighters who would fight in their home state if they're from America, in France. He's clearly the A side in this fight, and he's taking on a high level opponent in Borralho in a fight with title implications on the line. Because we have a sort of middleweight tournament going on right now. We have this fight, and then later in October in UFC Vancouver, we have Rainier de Ritter taking on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. And you think of in those two fights, whoever of those four, whoever wins, and most impressively, is going to fight Hamza Chimaev for the belt sometime next year. I gotta say too, this is like a nice resurgence of middleweight. It's been a little stagnant over the years when Izzy took over as champion. Now, credit to him, he did something I love watching champions do. That's clear out their division, prove without a shadow of doubt there is nobody who could take that belt away from it, and he did it for about 2 to 3 years. But then when he lost to Sean Strickland, I think middleweight's just kind of gotten better, if I'm being fully honest. If I'm being quote unquote brutal about it. Because once Strickland won the belt, then we had DDP come up through the ranks, won the belt himself. We had Hamza Chimaev move up. We had MVP move up. We have the four names I just mentioned rising up the ranks. And I just gotta be honest, there's like so much new blood at middleweight. It's surging right now. There's so many fun fights to make. There's so many fun, young, hungry competitors. I think middleweight is turning to one of the UFC's better divisions recently. I just don't. It's just not stagnant. There's clearly a lot of high level fighters in the top 15, not just like it's not. It's no longer Izzy, Whitaker, and everybody else. It is now Hamza Chimaev at the mountaintop, and you have four hungry fighters in their prime who are all raring to go. It is a treat to watch. Now, looking at their overall records, Imavov is 16-4 overall, 4-0-1 in his last five, while Borralho is 17-1, 5-0 overall, undefeated in the UFC, and riding a 17-fight win streak. Now, of Imavov's fights, besides the no contest to Chris Curtis back at UFC, what was it? 289, he has won 4 fights in a row, 3 of those being Fight Night main events. He won the decision over Roman Dolidze, the TKO over Cannonier, which I did think was an early stoppage, the decision win over Brendan Allen, and most recently, in this February, knocked out Israel Adesanya in the second round. And what's most impressive about Borralho right now is he's 30. He's in his prime, and he's going to keep getting better. Now, for Borralho, hasn't fought the same level of competition, and vice versa, but the flip side of that, he's still dominant in just about all of his fights, except I would say his most recent fight. But he beat Makhmud Muradov, submitted Mikhail Alexiouchuk, won the decision over Abus Magomedov, knocked out Paul Craig, and then most recently in his last fight, last August, won a Fight Night main event against Jared Cannonier, where he showed he can hang with the best of them. And even didn't really use his grappling a whole lot. Mostly he just used his striking. Now, looking at them overall, these are two high-level operators with very high-level skills all around. They're very well-rounded. Now, when you have two very well-rounded fighters, oftentimes they're going to have a certain skill set that's better than the other one. In this case, Imavov, better striker, Borralho, better grappler. Now, looking at their overall skill set, because they strike and grapple completely differently. For Imavov, he's as his nickname says, he is a sniper. He doesn't throw too much volume, I would say, but his accuracy is on point. You look at the Israel Adesanya fight. You see in the first round, he's opening up his boxing, using his wrestling as well, and he's able to make Adesanya think he's shooting in when really he just times the perfect overhand right, rocks Izzy as Izzy is taking a knee by the base of the fence. He lands one more precision left uppercut that just drops Izzy and then finishes with ground pound. He is a sniper. Or you look at the fight with Cannonier, as you can see he times it. As Cannonier is coming in with like some blitzes, he eventually times an overhand as Cannonier exits, and then it just puts him on wobbly legs and then leads to the finish. Again, I think it's short stoppage, but the setup was very nice. And then you look at some of the other fights he's had, like with Brendan Allen, he's able to deny all but one of the takedowns, and then just pick him apart at the feet, or just pretty much batter Roman Dolidze for the better part of 25 minutes. And then you look at some of his earlier fights, like Edmund Shabazian. He had a rough going a bit in the first round, but landed some of the harder offense, the better offense, and eventually just kind of fucked up Edmund Shabazian, if I'm being honest. And also like his win over Ian Heinisch. The best part about Imavov is that he's clearly getting better with each fight. This is not the same fighter who lost to Phil Hawes. This is not the same fighter who lost Sean Strickland. This is clearly a vastly improved fighter, and just a fighter who's going to keep getting better as time goes on. For his wrestling, the thing about Imavov is technically he was born in Dagestan, Russia. He lived there for a number of years. Then he moved to France and became a French citizen. His wrestling is very Dagestan. A lot of close quarter cage wrestling. A lot of the Dagestan style, essentially, is the first shot doesn't necessarily have to take you down. They just create contact, and then at that point, they just use a bunch of trips, sweeps, hip tosses, basically a bunch of chain wrestling to get you down. Imavov doesn't wrestle exactly like that, though. He does use fence wrestling, which is where he oftentimes gets his opponent by the fence. That's where he lands most of his takedowns. But his wrestling / grappling is more top pressure. He doesn't really have a guard game. He doesn't really pass position very smoothly, but he can get the Dagestan handcuff. He has vicious ground and pound, especially like in the crucifix, which is where he bloodied up Edmund Shabazian. Overall, his top pressure is very good. And while his wrestling is, I wouldn't say the best, he was able to get down. He was able to deny all the takedowns from Brendan Allen. He was able to, for the most part, survive any danger from Roman Dolidze on his back. And while he didn't take easy down, he at least was able to hold him into the fence and make him think about the wrestling. Now, as for Borralho, his striking is more of a karate-esque / Muay Thai striking. He does do the side hop. He does go side to side, hopping in and out of range, often throwing a 1-2 very down the pipe, just 1-2 in that sort of karate hopping stance. But he has some Muay Thai added into it. Mostly he'll dart in with like elbows, knees. He prefers the jump knee a lot. You see it at least like his first like 3 UFC fights, especially against like Mikhail Alexiouchuk or hell, even in his UFC debut. He really prefers the spinning jumping knee. But he has other diverse attacks. And you look at like Paul Craig was probably the best example of just his overall striking, or even the Jared Cannonier, because oh man, when he dropped Cannonier with that perfect 1-2, I thought he knocked him out right there. I thought he was out on his feet, which it looked like he was. It's just when he fell, Cannonier woke back up. Now, his grappling on the other hand is top tier. He is easily one of the best grapplers in middleweight. Now, granted, there's a contestant who's the best. Probably you say Hamza Chimaev because he's the champ, but Borralho is one of the best grapplers at middleweight, and that ain't for up to debate. He is one of the best grapplers. His ability to stay in position when most of the time it should not be possible is very impressive, especially his back take. He gets your back, it's a wrap. And you see it with a lot of these high-level grapplers. They've learned to try and mix in wrestling because he does shoot for takedowns. Now, he doesn't always get his takedowns, and that can be troublesome in this fight, but he's pretty persistent in it. And he's able to chain takedowns pretty effectively. It's just when he gets you down to the ground, that's where it all goes downhill for his opponents, because his transitions are smooth. And like I said, his back take is nasty. Now, it may not be to the level of, say, Aljamain Sterling, where once he gets your back, it's you're in the worst spot possibly ever, or something like that. But it's pretty close. He definitely has some mean ground pound, softens you up, looks for the rear naked choke, and even like his grappling is fairly like. He actually, there's you can look it up on YouTube. He did a grappling match with UFC heavyweight Gelton Almeida, and while I know he lost, he was competitive with easily the best grappler in the heavyweight division. Now, granted, you can say, oh, but it's heavy. Well, Jailton Almeida's a very skilled grappler, without a doubt. But like I said, overall, grappling's legit, one of the best in the division. Question is, can he take Imavov down? Now, Imavov has stuffed a lot of takedowns overall in his career. Now, easily the worst display when he was taken out was Brendan Allen in their fight. He stuffed like just about of 10 takedowns Brendan Allen shot, he got only one. But when he got that one that was in the first round, he held him down for the entire round. But then Imavov adjusted pretty beautifully and stuffed all the takedowns. Like I said, not only do they strike different, they grapple different, just they do everything just about differently for each other, but at the highest level. Striking, you're going to favor Imavov because I do believe he's the faster fighter on the feet, and I think the better defensively sound striker. Because while I like Borralho's striking, and it is very fluid, and he does have some good head movement himself, he has hit a little too much for my liking. And that's something I do worry about in this. But he's proven to have a really good chin, and he took some big shots from Cannonier himself, who, hits like a truck. And even some shots from like Armin Petrosian, who's a seasoned kickboxer, or Mikhail Alexiouchuk, who's pretty powerful in his own right. So he's got a good chin. Same with Imavov, too. But I think once this hits the ground, then I think it's Borralho's world. Can Imavov stuff the takedowns? Yes, he can. Can he get up? There's a great possibility. But I just think when Borralho takes Imavov down, or if he does, let me say that like that, I think he can keep him down because, like I said, his top control, his positional grappling is very much a treat to watch. You can tell a seasoned grappler, not just position over submission, not what I mean, because sometimes you're a submission-heavy grappler and you have good success. What I mean is everything he does is damn near perfect when it comes to grappling because he doesn't make positional mistakes, and yes, you can get up. He's going to take you right back down. He's going to latch onto the back. He's going to land in side control. He's going to get the full mount. There are certain high-level grapplers that will force an impossible position on you, and Khabib is a good example. Like, Khabib gives you a choice. Either you give up your back, or you have to deal with the ground and pound. Borralho's of a similar nature in that regard, except he just keeps even tighter chest-to-chest pressure, and overall just suffocating pressure. Now looking at like the physical specs, 6'3" with 75-inch reach for Imavov, 6'1" and a 75-inch reach for Borralho. Kind of interesting. The betting odds were the most interesting aspect for me. At open, they were pretty much a pick'em. Imavov was the slightest of favorite. Now the line has shifted just a bit. It is essentially a pick'em though. Plus 110 for Imavov, minus 135 for Borralho. So definitely some love. Love, or just like people believing in the fighting nerds. And I think that's part of the reason why there's been some money moved for the Borralho side. But overall, this is still a pick'em for me, and I've been jarring back and forth on this fight for a little bit. One aspect of this fight I'm pretty confident in. I think this is going all 5 rounds. Now, how the decision will be read, I'm leaning towards 48-47. I can even see a split decision. Not out of the realm of possibility. With a fight this close, with 2 fighters of this skill level, yeah, I'm expecting like a close decision. I don't think Imavov's going to finish Borralho. I don't think Borralho's going to finish Imavov. I'll tell you this right now. If either of them finish the other, that probably is going to stamp their claim for the title. I can guarantee it. But I think I'm going to lean Caio Borralho. I like his overall skill sets when it comes to the grappling, and while his striking may not be as good as Imavov, it is, I think, good enough to lead to passive avenue for a takedown. And I see when Borralho gets Imavov down, I see him keeping him there. Like I said, when Brendan Allen did get the takedown, he kept Imavov there. And while MMA math doesn't really work a lot, it's not a good system at all. I think but Borralho is proven to be a better grappler than Brendan Allen, and I definitely think if he gets Imavov down, and I think he'll definitely succeed more than once in attempting to take him down, I see him keeping him there. And while there's certainly a possibility Imavov could land the kill shot, he is a sniper. I just see Borralho just not the better overall fighter. I just see him as a fighter with more paths to victory. Or the best way I can say this is it's not so much I think Borralho is the better fighter. It's part of that. But I think when you look at their overall skill sets and who's better than the other in some aspect, I lean Borralho's grappling advantage over Imavov's striking advantage. But like I said, this is a nip and tuck fight. This is a very close fight, and I can easily see a split decision happening for Borralho or Imavov if he wins. But this is a great fight. I'm very looking forward to it. This was the fight to make for the #1 contender fight. And you can't really ask for something better than this, really. Like, two high-level operators, two skilled fighters. You know you're going to get a tough fight. And you could easily get an unsuspected war from this. You never know. This screams like unexpected like war or something like that. I just see this fight having there are a lot of possibilities for this fight, and I lean towards excitement for this fight. But without further ado, that is what my thoughts and prediction for the main event. If you like the video, comment and subscribe. I'd love to hear your opinions and overall just what you think of the fight as a whole, or even this card as a whole. I'd love to hear your opinions on the comment. Also, like the video if you enjoyed. But until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening. I'll see you next time.